Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, November the 11th, 2019, and welcome back to your Dead Sun Live Super Show, brought to you, Dead Sun Entertainment, Mr. Video Games. There are so many words out there to describe it, but my word is fucking awesome. Everybody, hello, I'm Slacker Kite, of course. Welcome back to Mr. Video Games. I'm so excited you could all be here. Of course, follow us live on the Discord as we're talking about it. There's links down the doobly-doo. I am Slacker Kite. I basically just set the stream in motion and then let Brian and Lindsay talk for me because I'm bad at words. But hey, I should actually introduce them to you, shouldn't I? He is a known lover of Die Hard, though his heart is really more in Dawn of the Dead. Man, it's Brian, a.k.a. Wonder Boy.
God damn it. God damn it. The intro. Everything. What the... Call me BB. Those are my little initials. BB. I'm BB. I am in a pod. I have a weird thing with my mom who's kind of dead. I don't know. I'm a weirdo. I'm a big thing. I see dead things. I blow heart bubbles. I'm a whatnot. Fuck. Okay, I'm going to stop now because we got a lot of Death Stranding to talk about, but holy shit.
And also, she'll hate us for the rest of this conversation. She ain't no fragile, but she definitely ain't your mama. It's Lindsay, a.k.a. Lady Marilyn.
God damn it.
Yes!
Except with my Warframe boys, I'm Mama Crush. Because Crush is the ultimate that my mainframe uses, so still
Nice.
a mama.
You know what? That might be like Mama in the game's last name for all we know, because these names are so weird. It could be that, but also you're the first one. You're the OG.
I am
Mama
the
Crush.
OG Mama Crush.
Right. That sounds like a strain I could get at the shop that's 3 blocks down from my house. Let's go. Do this.
So,
I was gonna say, didn't you know I have a rap career coming up too? I'm MC Mama Crush.
I don't know, but I have Laughter Tea, and I am ready to fucking listen to that album.
so let's be real. Brian and I are both just going to talk about Death Stranding, but let's go to our new live stream. Holy shit, look at us. We've got one of these actual things, and I'm playing video from the new Death Stranding. I kind of stole it from Slow Beef. Thank you, Slow Beef, for existing and making Let's Plays and bringing me into this stupid world. But here is the majesty that is Death Stranding.
Ooh, alright. Look at all them rocks.
Play watch, I'm still in my closet, by the way. This is just a curtain that I hung behind myself, so it doesn't look as if I'm just shoved in a box.
Just throw all the misconceptions out. We're real, damn it. This is us. We're gritty. We're the gritty motherfuckers that are going to talk to you about this damn game. This game that I am in love with, but also frustrated by it many times.
My first question is, during your first 2 hours of the game, how many times did you say "what the fuck" out loud?
Not too many, mainly because I was playing it very... Luckily, being on the West Coast, I got to start playing this game at a reasonable hour at 9 p.m. my time. So I got to boot it up there, and the first couple hours I was playing while my partner was trying to fall asleep. So I was trying to not yell out curse words. But at the same time, there were plenty of moments where I'm just like, there were plenty of moments where I was like, what am I looking at? But also at the same time, I was like, no, this makes sense. Like it was weird, but weird in a way that I understood, so it wasn't all that weird. Yeah, it was a thing.
So you understand it, is what you're trying to tell me.
I mean, I don't know if anyone actually understands it.
I
I
don't
don't
know if
even know
Hideo
if
Kojima.
Kojima fully understands it.
Yeah. Hey, Kelveron, how's it going? So yeah, oh man, this game, there's really only two ways to go about it. Either you're going to be entranced by the weirdness of this fucking game, or you're absolutely going to fucking hate it. Those are really only the two ways you can possibly feel about this video game. I don't see any other way around it. Do you see anything else, Wonder Boy?
I mean, I think there is some middle ground there because, like, compared to Kojima's other games, there is a certain sense of like groundedness in this. In terms of like the gameplay loop, it's very much
Okay.
a groundedness to it. Like I have a very easy time wrapping my head around what I'm doing, how I can accomplish these things. Even with the strategy of trying to figure out just how to get my over encumbered ass over this fucking mountain and like in a way that I can actually be able to feel good about myself and not waste an entire afternoon on one mission. Um, but like in that way, I can very easily grasp my head around it. The lore of this world is very, very interesting, and it isn't fully fleshed out, and it does bring up some some holes in my brain from time to time there. Um, so like it's a give and take, and then like some of the explanations for some of the things in there are just like really just like on an emotional level, you're just like, whoa, I don't know if I can deal with. Like, I know I joked about it in the intro, but like the nature of BB is really just like But also, we're talking about a game where you make grenades out of your piss. So
your piss, your shit, your blood.
Yeah, how much emotional weight can you have for a game where I'm literally throwing my dookie at people because I want to steal the stuff that they stole from me?
I'm sorry, but I had all of the questions about this game.
Yeah, please.
I was very confused, and then you said you can make grenades out of your own piss, and that just explained the entire game for me. Like, I'm done. No.
Cool. What if I told you that whenever you took a dump and showed an advertisement for Norman Reedus' reality show?
Mm-hmm.
Every time
I have seen.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. Oh, actually, yeah. You know what? Yeah, I'm sure you've seen that. That's a big thing out there. God.
Which asks so many questions. How many times does Sam Porter Bridges get asked, does he look like Norman Reedus?
Don't know.
It also begs the question of, when does this game take place, and does AMC still exist?
That's a very good question. I don't know.
Yeah, that's part of the question, because there you see how it's raining, but that's not rain. No. That is timefall. Timefall is like rain, and when it lands, it is rain. But anything that it hits, it ages, and that's why the world looks so much older than it is. But really, it hasn't been that long since everything happened, and there's people who are alive that remember planes and shit before the Death Stranding hit. So we don't know how far in the future is, because nobody really remembers, because time is fucked for everybody.
Because everybody is isolated until you get them on the internet by way of your tombstone necklace.
Well, also when you figure, I mean, like, it can't be the too far-flung future, given that you're essentially a glorified Amazon delivery drone.
Yes, you are. You know, Playwatch brings up a good question. Let's start with the actual core mechanics, and we can actually see here the core mechanics of, you are Norman Reedus, you are Sam Porter Bridges, and you are a delivery man, and you carry shit from place to place, and that is, the core mechanic is, how do I walk over all of this shit? And Slowbeef actually said it in the best way possible I could think of. is that this is Tony Hawk for old people, right? You have to figure out how to balance yourself as you're carrying all of this, and shit, that's a hill. How do I climb another hill? Oh god. Okay, let me sit down, drink a little water. Shit, the baby's crying again!
I just turned down the volume on the baby so I never hear it cry. I'm a bad parent.
I was gonna say that's A1 parenting right there.
It's okay. I coddle it. I soothe it whenever I get the time to, but I got shit to do.
Yeah, like when there's like fucking ghost on your ass and it starts crying. Nah, I'm not taking the time to fucking rock you back and forth, baby. I love you, baby. You're a good baby and everything, but there's ghosts that we have to deal with first. There's a murder mystery on our hands and we have to solve it, gang.
So Playwatch raises a really good question. The fuck's with the baby?
Okay, so the bridge baby, which is the baby on your chest, they are a tool in this world used to sense whenever the BTs, which are the ghosts that are the product of the Death Stranding, whenever they are near you. The BBs can sense them. I think they can see them. You can't. You have a thing called dooms. It's a disease of some kind that makes you not. God, this gets into so much more of the lore. It you have dooms. It makes you be able to perceive them around you, but you can't see them. The BB can see them, and a lot of people that don't have dooms use the BBs whenever they're out in the field to sense whenever BTs are around because they don't have any way of seeing them. As someone with dooms, you don't need a BB because you can tell yourself. So technically, people with dooms are not supposed to hook up to BBs because it can fuck with their mental state and start making them making memories bleed between one another with the two people. But you, as a person with doom, says, double birds, I'm hooking this BB up, and you do that, and then this whole weird thing starts to go down. But basically, they're making a bridge between the land of the dead and the land of the living to help people see whenever the BTs are near them.
By the way, everyone has a bridge, and a bridge might just be a metaphor for your own personal psychosis. I don't know.
I mean, you're not wrong there. I mean, Sam Bridges definitely has a phobia of being touched. So, and not even necessarily a phobia. He physically gets bruised if you just touch him.
Except by his sister, who I'm not sure if is actually a person or not.
Well, she's still on the beach. She's still on the beach.
Yeah, she's still on the beach, but also is she a real human being? I'm not sure.
I mean, we don't know yet. We haven't gotten to Edge Knot City, so we've only seen her in hologram form. She might be a real person. She might just be still on that beach somewhere, and I don't know where the beach is. How do I get to the beach?
I should inform the listeners that Brian and I are only up to Chapter 3 of the game, so we can't give you any in-depth spoilers at this point. All of this game is a huge fucking mystery to us still, and we're 12 hours in.
Yeah. Oh, so Playwatch, yes, this game is a giant metaphor for existential crisis.
It's not just a metaphor for existential crisis, it's a metaphor for political crisis. Literally, xenophobia and building walls and shit is part of what caused the Death Stranding, because when all of that started happening, people started becoming insular and started hiding out, and then people became terrorists, but not just terrorists, they started blowing up huge shit, like fucking nuclear bombs!
Yeah, not to mention that because of the Death Stranding now, if a BT consumes a human body, then it causes what's called a void out, and a void out is basically a nuclear explosion. So because of that, every dead bodies have to immediately be burned. Anytime that you have a dead body if you have a dead body that has been dead and not burned for 24 hours, it is a fucking anomaly. One of the opening missions, I don't mind talking about this one because it's the first mission that you do. But you have to dispose of a body that has been dead for nearly 40 hours and is about to go into necrosis. And if it goes into necrosis, it becomes a BT. So, someone clearly fucked up there in that instance, that case. But it speaks to this entire narrative of isolation, people dying off, and like having their bodies convert to these supernatural creatures because no one's there to take care of them, and there's no connectivity, and it's just causing the world to delve deeper into this darkness and this turmoil.
Also, your mom is the president of the United States, so
Yes.
that was a whole thing. The president wants to see me. Why does the president want to see me? Oh, hi, mom. What? What?
Yeah. It's a whole thing. It's a big thing. All right. So should we? Where should we go with this? Like, I could go off in like 1,000 different directions, but I guess like
I was attempting to start with the whole gameplay loop, and then we just fucking diatribed.
Because that's how this game is. You start off doing one thing, and then you end up on like 5 other fucking things that you had no idea you needed to do. Which I'm saying that as like something I enjoy about it, but also fuck yes, her name is Fragile.
Yeah, her name, the character name who runs another porting company, is called Fragile. There was a reason that I used several of the words in that introduction. Die Hardman, Hartman, Deathman, they are all characters in this game. Fragile, Mama, they are characters in this game. Hideo Kojima does not understand gender roles well at all. Woo!
Yep.
The women all have to be protected, and the men are all macho men.
Except for I'm not sure about Fragile at the moment. The jury's still out on Fragile.
Like,
personally.
Every time I see her, she looks like she's about to burst out into tears, and I am sick of her offering me bugs to eat. I am so tired of that.
I don't know, I ate them bugs. Them bugs are fine.
I mean, yeah, I carry the bugs and eat them, but, like, man, couldn't you, like, carry some hash browns on you, like a side of toast? Just something with it. Okay. So again, Sam Bridges is a courier. Most of the gameplay loop is around the idea that you have to walk between cities. Sometimes you'll get motorcycles or trucks or other things, but you're mostly walking between cities. You're carrying hundreds of kilograms of shit strapped directly to your fucking back. So you are literally wobbling your way up and down hills. You have to use your shoulder buttons to keep Norman from falling over and tilting too far to the left or the right, or just fucking falling his ass face first down a sheer cliff. Yeah, her umbrella, by the way, really fucking cool. Regardless.
Agreed. Yes.
So that's the main loop. You're walking between cities. Your distractions along the ways are rain. The timefall falls on you. It degrades the packages that you're carrying, making the shit around your packages degrade faster. There's marauders out there on the way that I won't get into those because that's kind of a spoiler for about 16 hours in. Not really, but kind of, that you run across marauders. Yeah, the mules that you run across. And then there's Ghost, aka BTs, that you have to, at first, kind of slowly hobble your way through by holding your breath. They can only detect you when you are breathing for some reason. They're like T-Rexes, but for out-breath. And later on, you can use your blood and piss to literally destroy them by throwing a bomb made out of your blood and piss directly at them.
Yeah. Just anything that's general filth that comes from your body. Shower water, boom. Poop, boom.
Yeah, so
all
every
that
time
Monster energy drink that you pour down your fucking gullet, it turns into fucking weaponry.
So every time you go to a new city, it's in your behest. You stop, take a shower, poop, pee, and just get all of that out of your system every time you stop at a city. Which, I mean, is a good idea, literally, but also, like, you gotta sit there and watch him do the cutscenes where he goes into the toilet and the toilet pops out and then the thing slides by. AMC with Norman Reedus, Season 3, coming soon with a weird Godzilla mask on the back of a dirt bike. Okay, cool. So, yeah, Sebastian, that's exactly why Death Stranding is Tony Hawk, but for old people, because we just have such a difficulty walking up and down hills. without strapping 100 kilogram weights to our back at the same time, that I think you and I could really feel the heart wrench that Norman Reedus is going through as he walks 2 kilometers to go from fucking Washington, D.C. to Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
Can I actually give you my honest biggest gripe with the game? And I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. What you got?
Last night, good friend of the show, Hollis, and I sat down, and he was like, holy shit, can you drive to Georgia? And I was like, I don't see why the fuck you can't drive to Georgia. So I tried to drive my ass over the mountains to see if I could get to Georgia. Turns out there is an invisible wall between you and where Georgia should be. Fuck you, Hideo Kojima. I can't drive to Georgia. What do you got against Georgia?
Too much of a dystopia.
Maybe something terrible happened to Georgia. I don't know.
It's just all tar now. It's just all BT tar.
But it wrecked my immersion. All of a sudden, there's a giant invisible wall. I'm just, oh, fuck you.
It's all right.
I sank into the sea.
It wouldn't surprise me. I had the same thing happen. I ran into that same wall, but instead of trying to get to Georgia, I was trying to take a shortcut to get to fucking Jeff Keighley's house. Which, by the way, Jeff, it's no spoiler. Jeff Keighley's in the game as Luden's fan.
Mm-hmm. I haven't actually found him. I saw him, but like I didn't quite get to him.
Okay, so yeah, so I was trying to get some stuff back to him, his old magazines or whatever that he wanted, and I was trying to cut over this mountain, and I was like, oh, I can put a ladder up here, and it's like obstacle in the way, and I'm like, there's just the sky. The sky is not an obstacle, and I tried to climb it, and I ended up tumbling all the way back down the hill because I couldn't stop myself.
Okay,
that's how I found the invisible wall.
Playwatch asked a good question. Why are packages important? Packages are oddly the most important thing in the world in this game. There's no currency in this game, so to speak. People can give you likes, and likes are the only currency you can get. The only job really out there is delivery person, to deliver between these cut-off dystopian cities to carry stuff from city to city. So your package of brain pills that you carry from one town to another is like an item, and people will give you likes for it, and likes is your currency, and apparently likes give people a dopamine rush that they can't feel otherwise. Like, it's so bad that they had drones that used to do this work for people, and it was all automated, and everything was fine, and people kept killing themselves because they had nothing better to do.
Yep. I mean, in a world with no connectivity, like literally the entire country is just different pockets of communities that all live underground because of the time fall, and they have no way of really communicating with each other. So the really only form of like tethering that they have to each other is through the porters. So like having these deliveries made, that's the only way they can get supplies in. Because no one wants to go above ground. Like people celebrate the porters as like these very brave heroes that are willing to do this work because no one else wants to fucking do it. So
yeah, it's sort of like, Americans and the troops. It's no one else is willing to do it, so we've got to celebrate them as the most valued people in our society because they put themselves out there and on the line and risk their body and lives just to deliver us packages for the funsies.
So, we're basically looking at a future where the minimum wage peon is king?
Yeah.
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. Because, yes, they are the king, but they also end up being the scourge of the fucking above ground in a lot of ways, looking right back at the mules. So, yeah.
I'm glad to see Slow Beef in his playthrough ran into the same thing that I ran into when there was a fucking wall around the city, and you're like, why is there a wall? I have to go through a very specific way to get into cities? Eat my ass.
Yeah, there are little frustrations like that here and there, but, I don't know, the game itself I'm digging, and I also understand how divisive it is just from the gameplay loop. Like, I know a lot of people are just like, oh, like, this basically is, in many ways, just a giant walking simulator with some action stuff thrown in there that isn't necessarily pulled off to the same level that you have it pulled off in Metal Gear. So, like, I totally get the frustrations with that, and that would be a quick thing to have people bounce off of when getting their hands on this thing.
Yeah,
But for me,
the boss
sorry,
fight that I did was pretty cool though. Like that was neat.
yeah, the boss fight was cool. The boss fight was weird for me though because I ended up triggering a very similar boss fight before I even got to the boss fight
Mm.
in my
Ah.
playthrough. Yeah.
Oh, you actually
Um.
fought that thing because I ran the fuck away from it.
Oh, you mean the? Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Do we want to talk about that? I don't mind talking about that.
I don't think we should really like
Okay.
if you get attacked by enough of the ghosts, it triggers
Okay.
something big that eventually you do have to fight at some point. But
Okay.
you can also run away from it normally. Let's not
Okay.
get into definitive what it is though, because that's
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I ran into that and I fought it. I didn't run away from it because I didn't think I could run away from it. Also because the fucking BTs like knocked all of my shit off of me and I needed to run back and get that, so I had to kill the thing first because I'm not gonna run through the tar. So yeah, so I did that twice.
So
I go ahead.
it looks like load balancing from what I'm seeing here is like trying to carry a pizza while you're drunk.
Yes.
Oddly enough, you say pizza. Pizza delivery. Pizza delivery is one of the deliveries that you can make in the game, and that is probably the most frustrating thing when it comes to trying to build your loadout in a way that is not going to make the pizza say go on its side and immediately start taking massive damage.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I read something about that. Somebody was using the auto arrange feature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the auto range is your
And
best friend until you
yeah.
get loaded with like oddly shaped cargo. And then it just go fuck yourself. Okay.
Yeah. Although I will say it has been a lot of fun to see how high I can stack that shit until he just literally cannot stand anymore.
That is kind of fun too.
Yes.
But Sebastian Fox, actually no, it was Kelverin. Yeah, basically the game is a odd like talk about Amazon and social networking and oddly like networking is one of the major positives of the game because not only are you delivering items between places, you also are Comcast basically. Each city has been separated from itself for so long that Sam is basically delivering the internet to them as well whenever he reaches a new city.
Yeah, he's getting them on the network and just kind of building up those connections across the country until he gets to Edge Knot City, which is de facto San Francisco, where his sister, who we still don't know if is a real person or not, but she's on the beach, but she's also in Edge Knot City, and she's being held captive there. So you need to get your sister.
Yeah, your sister, who is maybe a person. I also love that your mom's name is Bridget, and the stuff is called Bridges, and your last name is Bridges. It is so on the nose. You even gave her a regular human name, and you couldn't even make that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's just. Also, you can double jump. I forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can jump and then jump again, which is pretty useful when you're fucking just running your ass off from something.
Yep. Huh. So, with all of that, any questions?
I think my brain is sufficiently broken. I still really like I'm not at a point of, oh my god, I need to play this.
Mm.
I might eventually just because I'm curious, but I still don't get it.
I don't get it. I've been playing it for 12 hours. Part of the fun of a Hideo Kojima game is not understanding what the fuck is going on from moment to moment. And a lot of your enjoyment is going to depend upon. You might have noticed during this whole time we've been talking, there's been about 5 minutes of gameplay so far, where he walked from the cliff down for about 30 minutes so far, and we're maybe halfway through the intro part of this. So yeah, the game is primarily built upon the idea of being very confused, but just kind of seeing what the fuck happens next and wandering to your next question mark on a long trail of question marks. There's a lot of really fun and interesting elements to the delivery. You eventually get like things like exosuits. You can build watchtowers and generators and all of these other weird shits and try to fish people for likes so that you can level up quicker. It's such a fucking ridiculous game, but it comes down to really how much you're willing to put up with a lot of not doing a lot and then doing a lot at once in like several hour session playthroughs. And this is a game to be enjoyed slowly. And as well, the other interesting part that I don't think we really hit on is that the world is basically a living world. There's other porters around you that you never really see, but they're there, and you can see the stuff they've built to help them get around, like ladders and climbing ropes and bridges and roads and other such things. And you kind of are interacting with people without ever interacting with them, which is kind of interesting to see how people interact when they can't directly interact with each other. So in some ways, it's almost like another take on also 4chan.
In some ways, yes. I think it's a bit more positive in a lot of ways than 4chan.
Yeah, I mean it's more positive than that, but I mean it means it's talking about the good parts of social interaction.
Yeah.
Which, most of the time when people make these games that are talking about social interaction on the internet, it's always in the downplay role, like, oh, these people aren't real, but they're the closest to real that you actually get in this game.
Yeah, because I mean, like a lot of the characters, like you don't get a lot to like grip onto in a lot of ways. Like basically, Sam Bridges is just kind of faceless in a lot of ways. Like there's not a ton of character to him from what I've seen personally. So he's basically a blank slate. You can put whatever you want on there. The real character comes from the world as you like connect people to the chiral network. More of these structures that are being built by other players come online, and you're able to like build on top of their stuff. You're able to improve on their stuff, use their stuff. You can like entrust other people to deliver packages for you. You can deliver other people's packages that they've lost or left behind. You can leave supplies for one another. Like in a lot of ways, it speaks to the ethos of what this game is supposed to be saying. Like I think that like that's where it shines the best is like those systems, those interconnectivity systems. That being said, I'm still a little bit more intrigued personally about the lore of the world. But I just am a sucker for that stuff, especially when it comes to a Kojima product. Um, but there's a lot to chew on if you are willing to look for it and kind of dive underneath it to grab it. I know there's one thing specifically that is going to frustrate me whenever I come to it because I've seen something about talking about asexuality that is going to be frustrating. So yeah, I'll leave that for whenever I come to it and actually can react to it from my own experiences. But other than that, like I haven't seen anything but positivity from this universe so far, outside of some of the more gross natures of the things that are in it. And to answer the question, Play Watch, yes, for me it is fun. I don't know if it's definitely not fun for everyone, as the divisive reviews and the discourse online has clearly shown. It is not for everyone, but if it gets its hooks in you, then they're gonna go deep.
Something tells me I would enjoy this much more as a movie.
Yeah, and you can actually play this as a movie instead of playing it as a game. There's a mode in this to literally just take away any of the difficulty from the game. It's, there's normal, easy, hard, and then below all of that, there's a just for somebody who wants to watch this as a movie. That's about the summary of what it says for the difficulty level.
Okay. Huh. I will probably check it out at some point.
Mhm.
Just not on my top of the to-do list. Like maybe if it ever comes out for PC.
All right.
Mm.
If you don't play the game, just do me a favor and look up Troy Baker in this game because Troy Baker so
So
far has
good.
been the best part of this game. Like literally, he's only been on screen for like 5 minutes, but so good.
He
I
knows
want
he's
it.
in a video game, and he is here to tell you about it.
I want him to lick me through his mask.
All
Oh
right,
boy.
let's hit up a little bit of the discourse, though, because, hey, we're a podcast that talks about what the news and whatnot. The game has debuted number two in sales ranking, at least based on the UK sales reports. Days Gone has continued to hold number one. Last week, the number two was Luigi's Mansion. This week, Death Stranding has knocked Luigi's Mansion down a peg.
Why are so many people in the UK still buying Days Gone?
I am not sure.
That just bewilders. That's the main takeaway I have from this. Like, why is this game still? That's just so. I don't know. It's just weird to me. But no, like it's an. I mean, obviously you would want to be number one, but it's not a bad showing. I mean, this is only for physical sales, though. This is only for like people going to the brick and mortar and ordering the actual physical game.
Hmm.
So, and I would probably argue that the majority of people, it's Call of Duty, not Days Gone. Why do they put Days Gone above that?
Actually, that's a good question. That's right. Call of Duty Modern Warfare has been the number one for the last 2 weeks. Luigi's
Oh, okay.
Mansion was knocked down below FIFA 20 as well, so.
Okay, I think I know what happened here. They said that it sold less copies than Days Gone did when it was
Oh,
released.
okay.
Okay, so that's an odd.
Yeah,
Okay,
odd
anyway,
phrasing. But anyway,
yeah. Either way, still a decent showing for physical sales. I would assume the majority of people that bought this game bought it digitally. Um, I don't know that. I just the industry is moving that way, and there's some stock to put in this. Obviously, I think Call of Duty beating out Death Stranding is no surprise, just because it's Call of Duty. That
mm.
game sells millions upon millions of copies for months after it's released. So
And
yeah,
also, it's a more game. Let's be real here.
it's a first-person shooter. It's like the most video game genre that is out there in a lot of ways. You know, it's the one that everybody recognizes when they talk about video games.
Speaking of on that end, Hideo Kojima in an interview has stated the game received enthusiastic reviews, especially in Europe and Japan. Here in the United States, on the other hand, we had stronger criticism. Maybe this is a game that is difficult to understand for a certain type of critic or audience. Americans are big fans of first-person shooters, and Death Stranding is not. It is flying higher.
I'm sorry, but that is probably one of the single most arrogant things I have ever heard.
He's saying that's something that's not entirely wrong in the most egotistical fucking way I could think of. My game is art, and maybe you just don't understand it, rather than, people in the West are more used to more active games, rather than in Japan, some of the bigger selling games tend to be more passive. So I could see that on sort of a critical level, but to say that Death Stranding is flying higher, woo!
Yeah.
Taking out the hubris here for a second, because obviously this is like dripping in that. I will say, like, and I saw this in another review of the game as well. If we are going to look at video games as art and have them defined as art under the Constitution and under protection of speech, then it's not a bad thing to kind of take this stance in some ways. Like take out the ego,
Mm.
but it's not a bad way of phrasing this in terms of like how they view their own product, because yes, I would put this up there as a piece of art. I would also put Call of Duty up there as a piece of art, although many steps below in terms of
Yeah.
artistic execution, and what it wants to do and what it actually does. Um, Even with Death Stranding just beating you over the head with the metaphors from the get go, like there's no subtlety in this game, none. Um, which is also what we've come to expect
Mm.
from a Kojima game. So in that instance, I get what he's saying. I think that at the same time, though, maybe don't smell your own farts.
Speaking of smelling his own farts a little bit, he is also receiving the Guinness World Record for the most followed games director on Twitter and Instagram. So maybe, having this happen at the same time as your first game coming out for your company, maybe has a reason to have a little bit of an ego today. A little.
I'm just gonna put this out here. I don't know if anybody has watched the John Oliver piece that he did on Turkmenistan, where he basically dragged the Guinness World Record people for basically just being a PR firm at this point.
Yeah.
That's what this is. This is a fucking PR thing.
Yeah.
That's all this is. So like, I don't really put much credence to this. It's cool, whatever. Like, I just don't care.
Oh boy,
Personally.
you have more followers than Cliffy B.
That's cool. I guess. I don't know. Also, the fact that you're making a critique about social media in your game while also celebrating the fact that so many people like you on social media. Like, I don't know.
Which, in combination, leads me to my favorite article. I'm going to link this in the doobly-doo as well, because, like, I don't have enough time to really talk about this, because I want to get to a little bit of other news as well, but, they make the argument that Hideo Kojima is the Adam Sandler of video games, and they make a really good argument on this, not in the quality of his films, because the person who wrote this is actually a big Adam Sandler fan. They talk about that in so much. But their statement is that we like Hideo Kojima for the same reason that people like Adam Sandler like him, because we're used to the idea of Hideo Kojima is having fun. We want to have fun with Hideo Kojima, and he has fun in weird ass convoluted ways, and we kind of celebrate that fun together in the same way that Adam Sandler, whenever he makes a movie, it's his attempt to go out and have as much fun as possible and go do bullshit with his own friends. I like this article. When I first read the headline, I really wanted to rail against it, and then I was like, okay, I see where you're coming from. And it's a good way to think about it, I think.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's just hard for me to really. This is taking this article. While I agree with the premise in that instance, I just cannot get over the fact that like Kojima is making stuff like Death Stranding. Adam Sandler is making stuff like Jack and Jill.
Yeah.
It's just like I get the premise, and when you boil it down to that, yes, the comparison is sublime. It is right there. It is perfect. It's something that I am ashamed I didn't make that connection. But at the same time, though, like I'm not running out to watch whatever Netflix movie Adam Sandler is putting out.
Oh, hell no. Even if sometimes he makes a fairly good movie, like they seem to reference in the article literally his handful of pretty good movies, despite the fact that I think he probably put out a movie while we were recording this, so.
More than likely.
Yeah. So I think Hideo Kojima puts a little bit more thought and love into what he makes, but I don't think if it was literally anybody else besides Hideo Kojima making a like B game into a AAA game that anybody would buy it. We're kind of more, I think, buying it because we know where it's coming from.
I mean, you're right. Like, many people are, the main reason why people were excited about this game, it was because Kojima's name was attached to it, and it was the first time that we were going to get to see unadulterated Kojima with no leash, and we definitely got that in droves. But at the same time, like, I think that this style of game, maybe not the exact same like elements to it, but the same kind of ideas behind it, could definitely have been executed by another studio in a way that I think would still have communicated um, to it still would have spoke to a community. It still would have probably gotten out there and gotten some press. It would never have gotten the kind of following and attention that this game has, just based off of Kojima's name. It goes back to the auteur theory stuff. With him being the auteur of the video game world, and you know, we definitely see a lot of the pitfalls that come with the auteur theory in this game as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of ideas in Death Stranding that I really wish somebody had like gone, Mr. Kojima. This is an interesting idea, but like we're still chewing over the last few questions you asked. Maybe we could hold this off. That being said, I really hope there's no Death Stranding 2 that ever comes out. This does not feel like a game that ever needs a sequel, though this may, like, I didn't finish Metal Gear Solid 5. I think Metal Gear Solid 5, as far as if you're talking about is it a better game, as in thing you play, Metal Gear Solid 5 is a better game. I think the story was way weaker, and man, it was repetitive as shit. And somehow, walking over hills for hours is less repetitive than sneaking into enemy bases. I don't understand how that works, but it is.
In some ways, yes. In other ways, like, I think both games are great in their own way. I mean, I adore Metal Gear Solid 5, for both personal and overarching reasons. But at the same time, like, I love Death Stranding in a similar way for completely different reasons so far. And I genuinely do love this game. Like, I know I can criticize the hell out of this thing, but at the end of the day, like, I'm going to play more of that game tonight. I'm going to play more of that game tomorrow, and I'm going to keep finishing it. And do not be surprised if there is a Death Stranding 2. Kojima has hinted already at building a new universe.
Well,
so
the game does have a whole lot of multiverse theory because of the beaches.
I'm just saying, like, apparently, like, the last third of this game goes some places. Like, apparently the final cutscene is 2 hours long.
All right, we'll see. And the last thing that I really have to say about this game, and this has to just be seen by literally everyone, is this is what you see when Norman Reedus takes a poop. That's it, right there. So many weird questions, especially in a world that is not connected. What is?
Watch
What?
Ride with Norman Reedus on AMC every Sunday night after The Walking Dead. I don't know when that show comes on. The fourth wall's always been shattered in these games. Kilver and every single one of these games.
Yeah, Hideo Kojima does not believe in the fourth wall, and really, I think this advertisement is just for us. Like, it's definitely not for Norman, because otherwise it would be on the inside of the poop chamber. So the game knows that you're playing it. I ran into a cutscene once where I went to go touch Ye Baby BB, and it had Guillermo del Toro's face. And then I woke up in a shock. And yeah, this game is basically just here to mess with you directly, and that's beautiful.
Agreed. There will be more to report as we continue through this thing, and I think we might have driven Lindsay away with all of. Oh no, she's back! Hooray!
Hey.
We
I
thought
got
that we
punted
made
to
you leave
AFK.
forever. Oh, we
All
thought
right.
that ruined everything.
Shall we talk about something else for the last half of the show?
Sure,
All right. Let's.
I'll keep coming.
I'm borrowing Northern Lions playthrough of this. I know there's ones without video, but you know, I feel like anything related to Ed McMillan, if you're going to use YouTube content, you might as well use Northern Lions because I think he's the YouTube face of Ed McMillan at this point. Anyway, Ed McMillan is releasing The Legend of Bumbo coming up here in literally 3 hours, maybe 6 hours. So that will be coming out very soon, but he's handed it off to a couple of people who have Let's Played and streamed his games previously. So gameplay of this is all over the internet. The art style looks fucking fantastic. It's all this neat cardboard cutout stuff. The game is maybe maybe his most childish game that he's ever put out, considering that your mana pool is bones, poop, snot, teeth, and piss. Um, and each one of those, when you collect them as well, does something different. It is basically a match 4 game that is also Magic the Gathering at the same time. So there's that. If you've played the card game, it actually seems to share a whole lot in common with it, other than the card game doesn't bother with a whole lot of the whole mana thing and all that bullshit. But the aesthetic is nice. It's literally coming out tomorrow. Right now, it's on pre-sale sale, so I believe it's on a 15% off sale if you pick it up right now. It definitely looks like it's worth picking up, if just for the art, and I'm not playing the music from it, but the music from it is actually really good. I've listened to a couple tracks off of it, and I definitely like it. It's really worth playing, I think. I don't know how much streamers will really get out of this game, since, you know, as a match 4 game, you're putting on your own stupidity for the world to see that, oh, I didn't see that I could match 4 bones by doing this move instead of that. But still, cool game. Definitely, next week I'll have an opinion on it. But yeah, just wanted to mention that off the bat here. Alright, for our first real story, coming to us from Polygon whenever it decides to load. Hello, browser. Do you want to load Polygon? Are you mad that I'm leaving the Legend of Bumbo gameplay? He's not happy. Actually, am I still? Oh, I'm not dropping
Shake
anything,
it like
am I?
your baby.
Okay, good. Somebody else said something, so I know I'm still online here.
Yes, you're online.
All right. I guess it's just Firefox deciding to not be friendly here. Cool. Okay. We'll just talk about it. Fuck it anyway. Why the hell not, and not have it up on the screen, and maybe at some point it'll eventually load. Oh, I can't access Polygon either through Chrome. Polygon just doesn't want to connect me at all right now.
Maybe it's broken.
Maybe Polygon is broken. Maybe we have to skip the Polygon article.
Maybe. Give me 1 second. I'll find a workaround for you.
All right. In the meantime, let's just go to a different article then. China has cracked down on online gaming. They've set a curfew for online gaming between the hours of 10 p.m. and 8 p.m. as well. Anyone under the age of 18 is now restricted to 90 minutes of online game during the week, and 3 hours on weekend and public holiday. I believe that there are no restrictions if you are over that limit. And there are restrictions set on how much you can spend in a particular game on paywall gated items, which is weird.
I mean, it makes sense because you do have a lot of people that are literally losing their lives to gaming. They do nothing else. Like there have been instances of people being found dead at their computer chairs because they haven't moved in 48 hours. Like they haven't eaten, they haven't slept, they haven't had anything to drink. It's just been the grind in the game. And I mean, this is a little extreme,
Mhm.
maybe a lot extreme, but at the same time, like this is, I hate to say it, it's getting to be necessary.
Yeah, at least in China, like I haven't heard as bad in the West as much, but we've definitely read before several times people literally dying while playing games in China because they wouldn't leave the game for so long. So I understand it's a public health concern in China, but this does seem kind of steep, though. Um, I don't really see anywhere in the article saying about what the fines would actually be in regards to what will happen if you spend this much time doing certain things.
I'm not sure, but it might not be so much a fine, especially for the under 18s, to that person. It might be more towards the parents.
Mm.
Um, because there is a very large culture of, honoring your parents and everything along those lines. So a fine being levied against your parents for something that you've done could bring so much shame to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of those situations where it's kind of a cultural thing as well. It's a little bit different. If this happened in America, people would be fucking rioting, people's rights, etc., etc. Um, but yeah, this is it's such a weird thing to have a take on. So I don't know
Well,
exactly where to go with it, to be honest with you.
and I mean, I'm looking at these spending caps, and if that includes like your game subscriptions, so if you're under 16, you can only spend like 29 bucks a month
Mm.
on gaming. So that's a WoW subscription right there.
Well, half
And
of one.
maybe Fallout 76. I think that would fit under the $29 bracket.
If they're even playing Fallout 76 over there. But I get what you're saying
Sure.
though. Like it's
Yeah.
not a ton of wiggle room with what you want to do. Like it's not a lot of currency to work with if you have a diverse interest in what gaming has to offer. Sorry,
Which,
I've been busy diving into the internet while y'all been talking about this. So,
Oh, good.
um,
I could see
but
this creating a rise in pirating too.
I mean, it
I
definitely
mean,
could.
more of what than what there already is, but
Yeah.
yeah, China already has a pretty bad piracy thing going on, and of all this, the caps on how much you could spend on subscriptions and loot boxes and the like, I'm kind of for that part of it, honestly. You're going to get less whales out of it, and it's a-okay with me. All right, the article we were going to get to previously, and since Polygon isn't working, we're just going to go ahead with Forbes. Uh, the Chad Robertson has just left BioWare. As far as the company, he was the head of the online division, the man basically responsible for Anthem taking place. And once your head of live services leaves, that doesn't really say a whole lot of positive things about your online future.
yeah, no, I mean, Anthem launched to much fanfare, but was broken from the start, and they haven't done too much to fix it. And Now this just seems like the death knell. It really does.
Well, I mean, there was already a death knell. The
Mm.
fact that they completely scrapped their roadmap, like not like a month or two after they were touting it, that was the death knell. This apparently, like, he's the second person who's been in charge of this, at least in some way, at the tip, near the top of Anthem's live service um, team that has departed the company since Anthem's release. So, like, they're probably going to find some way to plug the hole, but at the end of the day, like, how much work was he actually doing? There's not a lot of stuff going on with Anthem right now. They finally pushed the Cataclysm that they promised out months after it was supposed to come out. They scrapped all the extra story content. They stopped patching the game. I think they might have done a few bug fixes here and there, but they, for the most part, have really tapered down patching the game itself. And the only thing they've really done since the Cataclysm was their Halloween event that they did. And honestly, I had to read articles about Robertson leaving to find out that they were having a Halloween event. So, like, at the end of the day, there's not a lot left to do with this ecosystem. Anthem, for all intents and purposes, has been dead for months. I mean, it makes total reason. It makes complete sense why he would leave, because I don't know how much of a job he actually has there now. And it sucks that a guy who put 14 years in at that company had to go out on this fart of a game.
Mm.
You know, like, it really sucks, because, like, he's been there for a lot of the successes, especially the more recent successes. And but unfortunately, like, they've just had a misstep after misstep over the past few years, and if, like, they are falling down that hole where Dragon Age 4 is having all of those eggs put into its basket, and that is not a good place to be at.
Yeah, it's sad that I could say more positive things about Fallout 76 and where that roadmap is going than where Anthem seems to be going, and that's a lot.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Anthem as a game, the way it played, like, there was something there. That's the travesty of it. There was something there.
Mm.
Like, I had fun for part of the time I was playing that game, until it became the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and it felt like a husk in a lot of ways. Like, there was promise there, and it got squandered because EA wanted to push something out too quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was so much hope behind Anthem. I remember people talking about how they knew how much was riding on it, and this had to be game of the year, and it never was.
No, never.
All right, go ahead.
They don't have finished product and expected it to be the next big thing, and the public spoke and they realized that they can't half-ass anymore.
No.
Yeah, I think this is what companies are learning is they've been running up against walls and just still delivering. And I have to give kudos to game makers like Naughty Dog who look at the wall and see that they're running up against it, and they could put out a product that's not completely finished but almost there, or they could postpone it just a little while longer because they didn't quite make that last push and they don't want to crunch their way through it. That's good. It's positive. But let's go on. The last bit of news that we have is basically all Nintendo related subsection here. Starting with GameIndustry.biz. Luigi's Mansion 3 has become the Nintendo Switch largest launch of 2019. Let's not be surprised at all when Pokemon Sword and Shield takes that away from them completely, but this has been really a big launch week for Nintendo.
I mean, whenever you put out a game that is as universally beloved as what I've seen from Luigi's Mansion 3, like, it makes total sense. Like, I'm not surprised at all. Every game they put out this year has just been a banger. I mean, I know personally, I've seen it get its hooks into you, Travis.
Yeah.
Like,
I would have expected Mario Maker 2 to be their big seller of the year, to be honest with you. The fact that Luigi's Mansion 3 eclipsed Mario Maker 2 says a lot. Like, I could see it passing Link's Awakening. I would say Link's Awakening is a better game to me, but hey.
But it does definitely speak to Nintendo and kind of hold them to where we need to hold some other companies in that their first party games, what bad ones have they released this year? They're making sure that everything that they are putting out is done well and done right.
Yeah, even Ring Fit Adventure, which they could have half-assed the shit out of it. That's a fucking fun game. I love that game. Kelvin, you're definitely right. Mario Maker 2 is for sadists. That's kind of why I hang. If I'm going to play like a Mario game where you can make Mario shit, I've stuck with Super Mario World because I think that community is less on the end of, hey, let's make a game where it's so fucking hard you want to chew your own ass off. Good without that. Just want to play video games and have fun and laugh. But speaking of Pokemon as eclipsing them, oh good, Polygon article again. Will Polygon load this time? Yes, it will! Polygon lives! They haven't died and gone away forever. Coming to us from Patricia Hernandez. Pokemon Sword and Shield's full Pokédex has been leaked to the internet. So if you want to know if your favorite Pokemons is within this game, you can find it here. And if they aren't white, they do not exist within this game. Your Charmanders, they're coming back. Your Squirtles, your Bulbasaurs, fuck off. Nobody needed them.
How dare they? How dare they get rid of so many of the awesome... I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, this has been one of those oddly contested fights. Like, I'm not a huge Pokemon fan, but a lot of the fandom is like, how dare you get rid of my favorite Pokemon? Well, the roster started to get fucking ridiculous in size. They had to clip. And this is a good sized clip, and I can kind of appreciate that if they're going to introduce new Pokemons.
So maybe I'm going to be an unpopular opinion here, but maybe I'm also old. But let's bring it all back to the original 151. Get rid of all of these new ones, these ones literally based off of bags of trash and random household objects like chandeliers, and go back to the original 151. They were badass. They will always be the most badass. And thank you for the follow, Felicity. Or the host.
The host, yeah.
Hosted.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, Felicity. Good morning to you, too.
So that's the thing. I understand why they did this. Obviously, you can't cram, like they're easily over 1,000 right now with these, or close to 1,000 with the number of Pokemon that there are now. But at the same time, Pokemon is a franchise where people have latched onto these creatures, these characters, in a way that it breeds that connectivity. That if you take away something that they have put a lot of love into, it's going to upset them. Like, it's a double-edged sword. You can't, like, I get for a major release on the Switch where all the Pokemon are going to be actually visually represented in the world. It's going to be hard to include every single one. At the same time, though, I know that if my Psyduck boy was taken out of this thing, I would be burning something right now. So, like, I totally get both sides of the argument here. It's a necessary evil. You know?
The good news, not only did they keep your good boy Psyduck, they kept my good boy Snorlax. So we're all happy in this equation insofar.
Charizard for life! The first boy. The best boy, the flooshy boy.
God. I can't believe that game's only a week away from release. That is just it is crept up. Like
Yeah.
And
just
so I
sneaky.
know in the next week, I am not going to hear from my sister or her fiance for like the next 3 months. That's cool. Sure.
Yeah, my roommate Josh will disappear into the void so he can play with his Pokemans, and that's okay. Pokemans is a delightful game for all of the good girls and boys.
The good girls and boys, eh?
We'll get to that.
Lads, lazies, and all the they be.
But our last full article of the evening. Come on, Polygon, you can load it. You can be a good boy.
Yeah, I don't going on with all the Vox sites right now. Like they're all messing up. All of them.
Yeah, something is going on with their servers right now. So, fuck it. Newsweek it is. I don't care.
Oh, Newsweek.
Terry Bogard has finally joined Super Smash Brothers as, I believe, the penultimate men to join what is the huge fucking list of Smash Brothers people. From what I can hear, if you've played Fatal Fury before, hey, you know how this is going to go. And if he is at lower health, then he gets special attacks that he can unleash and really hurt the fuck out of you. Yeah, down here, if it's above 100% or below 30% in stamina. I haven't played Terry yet because I have been doing all of the Death Stranding instead. But he looks like a good boy, and I've never played a Fatal Fury game in my life, so SNK fans, have fun.
No, like I am very happy that Terry Bogard is in the game. I don't have the game, so I can't play it to find out how good he is in it, but Terry Bogard's good in all ways. Thumbs up. Throw that hat.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Terry Bogard
Also,
is definitely a good boy, a very good boy.
yes. Also, to double back on that Pokemon story real quick, because Felicity and Calvaron bring up good points. Yeah, it is frustrating that they're eliminating fan favorites sort of arbitrarily, but they did say they had to reprogram all of the Pokemon to be in this style of game. Remember, this is the first console release for Pokemon, and that being a console release, don't be surprised if some of these other Pokemon get programmed in as DLC later.
Ooh, you said the word.
Dude, season pass.
Oh
Pokemon
no.
Sword, Pokemon Shield, Pokemon Season Pass.
Get your Pokemon RBG DLC where you can get 10 of the starters from the games. It'll come. Nintendo will find a way and they'll make it cheap so that you don't ask questions.
But no, Nintendo needs to be good and pure. They need to be the good boys, the bestest boys.
Oh, they're going to milk Pokemon for all of the money, and I'm kind of fine with that somehow.
Yeah.
Either way, that is our last real article for the night. But as you good boys and girls know, boy, I cannot lampshade this fucking enough. We cannot end the show ever without having a Mr. Video Game of the Week. And boy, there was a very obvious Mr. Video Game this week. For those uninitiated with the title of Mr. Video Games, it is somebody, someplace, something that has done something so great, so wonderful, so awful, so terrible, so mediocre that you can only look at it and go, boy howdy, that right there, that is video games. And our Mr. Video Games of the Week is our good boy Mr. Sakurai himself.
the way, you may have noticed.
What did Sakurai do?
I'm going to play this for you out loud. Give me 15 seconds to play this clip from the debut of Terry Bogard.
By the way, you may have noticed that a very important character from the Fatal Fury series was not included. Yes, Mai Shiranui. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is for good boys and girls of many different ages, so we decided not to feature her. Please forgive us.
There you go. Mai Shiranui is not good for you good boys and girls out there of the internet. You cannot play as Mai unless you are a bad boy or girl.
Well, I'm very happy that I'm a bear boy.
I think we broke Playwatch.
In case you are not familiar with Mai Shiranui, I believe this art gallery that comes up when I pull up Mai Shiranui on Google, the third is Bounce. That's everything you need to know about Mai Shiranui. She is a mostly naked lady that fights and fights hard, and she is basically one of the big symbols of the Fatal Fury franchise. Everyone knows her because of that bounce.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Playwatch. No.
The next up is just going to be all DOA.
Felicity, Jiggle Physics, there was a really good, I think it was Control-Alt-Delete, did a little short on Jiggle Physics, and it made me howl. It's from way back in the day, but it will always make me howl.
This stream is no longer for good boys and girls. This is Mai Shiranui. It's everything you need to know. That's her idle animation, just flopping in the breeze.
That bounced, though.
That bounce, all I can think of is ow, 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 ow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason her hand is behind her back, and it's because she's literally bracing her spine. I know this pain. No.
Also, I think she's like 80% leg, and one of my favorite quotes from Sakurai when he was talking about this was, when we go to the ratings board and we talk about these things, the ratings board in other countries ask, are there guns? And that makes sense. And then we go to Japan, and they say, can you turn the characters upside down, is one of their first questions. And there's a very obvious reason why, because a lot of Japanese games likes to give the panties and the butts and the whatnot. This is one of the only characters I can think of that was born from the 80s whose boobs and butt are literally modeled on existing people. When they were making up this character, they looked at specific people and they said, that's the boob, that's the butt, the rest of it, I don't know, brown hair, brown eyes, it's fine, roll with it.
See, I look at her and I just see like this really awesome mix of Chun-Li from Street Fighter and Ivy from Soul Calibur.
I mean, you're not wrong, and there's a history in fighting games of extremely sexualized characters, and Mai Shiranui might be the genesis of all of that. But damn, I can understand why she didn't hit Smash Brothers. But maybe in the next Smash Brothers game, the next one will only be for bad boys and girls, and then you can have your Mai Shiranui all you want. Hey, they could have included this Mai Shiranui. Look, she actually is coming up. Yeah.
Hey, he's
Hey,
back.
you're back.
Oh, did I disappear?
Apparently your rant about Mai was so bad boy that Sakurai came in and deleted you from the chat, so we didn't get to hear anything about.
Here's the thing. Our viewers, because of the way OBS is set up, our viewers could still hear.
Oh, okay.
It's just
okay.
you and me, Brian. We're the good boy and good girl. Like, we're not allowed to hear such horrible rants.
Oh, I want to be bad though.
I know, right?
I was just saying they could have included this version of Mai Shiranui all they wanted to, and there's no upskirt because she ain't wearing no skirt.
For some reason, that model is worse to me.
Yeah, like why did they have to emphasize the nipples?
Yeah, that's just that's bad.
It is a worse render. You are entirely not wrong. Yeah, they look like little floating balloons just strapped to the front of her shirt.
Ain't not
They
a little
move about the
that.
same too.
Oh boy.
Jesus.
Here we are, we're trying to have this serious professional podcast and we're debating boob physics.
Hey, let's not church this up, all right? We started this thing talking about a game where you throw your dookie at people to kill them, and now we're talking about boob physics. We know exactly what we are. We're video games.
Shush,
We're
let me
art.
deluding myself and living in ignorance on this one.
No, it's okay. Like I get it. Games are fun. Games are art. Games are dumb. Games are great.
Games are the
What the
sex
fuck
dolls.
is that? Holy shit! Oh, that's from the cartoon, isn't it?
That's
Yep.
two black eyes right there.
Yep. That's
Lord,
just-
why? Oh, this is why? Why does she exist like
Lauren?
this?
I have seen the result of some of the Skyrim modding, and dear Lord, no. I mean, if you really want peak, you play Conan Exiles with
oh god.
nudity turned on, and then stand in the sandstorm and watch what happens to the penis. They use the exact same physics engine for the penis as they did for fabric, so it flaps like mad.
I'm just gonna say, if we had show titles, watch what happens to the penis. Totally the show title of this episode. Are you looking? Watch what happens to the penis.
I'm broken. Congratulations.
Did we break you? Did everything break you finally? Guess what? You got more Death Stranding to play. You're not broken yet.
I gotta strand that death now, don't I? Oh boy.
We all do.
Cut to the credits! We have been the Mr. Video Game Live Super Show. Thank you, Playwatch, Felicity, Calvaran, freaking Sebastian Fox, and other people who have been about tonight, and all of our other lovely people who have listened in to the podcast tonight. God, you guys have been wonderful. I love all your faces. I am Slacker Kite. Brian, actually, Lindsay first. Lindsay, you're usually shorter. Do you have any final words to say this evening?
I like it. Okay, you know my brand now. You know my brand. All right, cool. No shade. Thumbs up.
Oh, we have reached peak silliness tonight. We love you all. Thank you so much for coming to watch. Kelvoran, Playwatch, Felicity, thank you for the host. This has been a blast. I've learned more about Death Stranding than I've thought I would. I figured it would just be the both of you fanboying. But I've actually learned something about the game, and I've learned that I probably won't play it. But yeah, I can be found on Twitter at LMarowin. Here on Twitch as Lady Marowin, because, you know, the name, whatever. I'm going to be streaming again tomorrow. No. What day is it? Today's Monday.
Monday.
Yes.
Wednesday evening at like 8 p.m. Eastern. Probably going to do some more Warframe now that I can actually run it. Woohoo! But yeah, love each other, be cool to each other, be the change you want to see in the world. And for those of us that live in the north, stay warm, guys.
Okay, Brian, any last words this evening?
Strap in, motherfuckers. You can find me on Twitter at WonderboyOTM. You can check out all of my writings over at outsports.com, pacemagazine.com, and anywhere else that I post up on my Twitter. I write about games, pro wrestling, sports, comics, movies, whatever, tech, anything that tickles my fancy. It's all over there. And also every Thursday, you can listen to I do a LGBTQ pro wrestling podcast in cooperation with Outsports. called LGBT in the Ring. That comes out every Thursday. This week I have a treat. I have a non-binary wrestler, Sophie King, from working a lot of Midwest indies in the U.S. And they are a treat. I enjoyed talking to them, and that's going to go up Thursday morning, or maybe early Thursday afternoon. Should be pretty cool. Other than that, I'm just going to keep on playing Death Stranding and keep going insane.
All right, thanks everyone for joining us. As always, Discord links are in the doobly-doo. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/CBGP Games. You can find me on Twitter at CBGP Games. I will eventually get the Dead Sun Twitter up and running again and get the podcast going. Those are the next items on our agenda now that we have title cards and stream elements and all of that goobity-goo hobbity-fudge. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow.